Namaste. Welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. I'm your host Irene, and this is where we welcome women healers and spiritual leaders from all around the world to come and share their journeys and their experiences with us. And of course, we do them over warm cups and deep thoughts. For those who have been enjoying our podcast episodes so far, thank you so much for showing your love. And for those who are new to this channel, welcome. Please like and subscribe so we can continue sharing this love. Thank you. Tina, welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. It is such an honor to have you on the channel. Do a little cheers.
Lovely to be here with you, talking with you. Cheers.
Awesome. Tina, you please tell our viewers where you're joining from and what you do, and we'll get straight into discovering and kind of asking you more questions today. Yeah.
All right. So I am coming from Melbourne, Australia. I am a naturopath, but I do a few things. So I'm a naturopath, but more of a holistic naturopath. I also teach yoga, and I also do Reiki healings, and I'm a presenter as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There's a few things going on there. So what are you mostly drawn to? So how did you, well, today's topic is really talking about naturopathy and what it is and how you got into it. But how did you get into other forms of healing modalities yourself?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. The healing modalities started a very long time ago. I think I could have been about it would have been in my teenage years, but officially yoga, I got into yoga after the birth of my second child. Um I didn't know I had postnatal depression, but I did. And I needed something. So I didn't know what I needed, but I know I needed something. So there was a yoga studio down the road, and I thought, yeah, all right, let's do this. And that just catapulted my awakening to, yes, Tina, you do like natural remedies. This is where you're meant to be. It almost like shook me onto my path. And I remember after that first yoga class, it just took that deep breath in, and I said, yeah, I'm actually on the right path this time. Like before, you never really know. Like I said, upon reflection, I didn't know how depressed I was until I walked my way out of it, and then stopped one day and went, oh, I think I might have been then. People don't, like, sometimes even people can tell you, but you don't see it. You don't believe it until, I don't know. That was that moment. Anyway,
Interesting. So, interestingly, I released an episode yesterday where one of our guests, she talked also about postnatal depression. And I do hear about it a lot. So what exactly it is, if you could just briefly shed a little bit of light on it, and what kind of symptoms were you experiencing with the postnatal depression?
Yeah. Oh, oh, that's a big question, because I think there's a chemical part of postnatal depression. Like after you give birth, all of the hormones, there's an influx of there's different hormones that happen when you're pregnant, and then you give birth, and there's all those other hormones. So it's a massive shift biochemically in your body. And then, it can go to things like the types of foods that you, because you're so depleted, because you've just given everything of your body to this little human inside you that's now out. Like that human is so healthy and so well nourished because of you, but now you're depleted, and we don't replenish our stores enough. And then depending on, so there's replenishing the store. So then if you don't have the right, again, from a biochemical perspective, we don't have the right bits and pieces in like amino acids and carbohydrates and all of that produce the neurotransmitters, then we are also hormonally, we're all over the place, but then we're not nourished. Our cells are not nourished because they need more than what they had before, because we are so depleted. There's that. And then there's the shock of, okay, Now I have another human being to look after. And where was that life I just had? It is now gone. And nothing prepares you for that, whether it's one child or 7 children. Like
Yeah.
there's no, even I remember thinking when I had my third, oh, I'll be fine because I've already had two. So
Yeah.
what's three going to do?
Yeah.
No big deal. But no, it still happened. I just recognized it better when the third one came along because the
Mm.
time that I had for the other two was my other 2 children was now, it was now in thirds. And I had to deal with, oh, I can't be there for my other two the way I used to be.
Mm.
And they were a lot older too. So I had time for me. So,
Mm.
a mother of a 7-year-old compared to a mother of a 2-year-old, you
Yeah.
tend to get a bit of time for yourself. And then the baby came along and it was like, oh no, I don't have any time to myself. My showers are, it's like a quick shower, and if I can be bothered having one, so then there's that
Mm.
happens with postnatal too, the whole
Yeah.
life change. Um,
Wow.
transition. The transition. But yeah.
Wow.
God, you said quickly. That wasn't quickly.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that
I can imagine. It's very difficult for new mothers, and as you said, I totally agree. It doesn't matter. You're giving birth once or the seventh time. It's the same. You go through the same experiences, and I can only maybe contemplate, but I can't really imagine how that might feel. Uh,
yeah.
so wow, okay. And in terms of again, you mentioned that yoga helped you get out of the postnatal depression, so that's wonderful. But how did your journey in naturopathy begin, and how did that kind of complement you as well? And is it right? Also, I asked a lot of questions. Sorry, but I will
I
ask
love
you. Maybe I'll break it down for you. But uh, is
questions
it
all at
fair to
once.
say that naturopathy can be called as plant medicine in
Yeah. Yeah.
layman terms?
Um, yes, except plant medicine is now also getting a bit of a um it's getting blurry because I think I was watching a few weeks ago that plant medicines also people have put in like medicinal mushrooms and bits of like it's kind of not only um herbs, they've put in other things. But it
Wow.
is it is using it's applying herbs to help heal the body.
Hmm.
And what most naturopaths do, I assume, well, I know look, I'll tell you how I operate with my
Yeah.
herbs. I choose herbs that suit the person, not
Hmm.
the disease, not the condition. So if someone comes to me and says, oh, i have um I have reflux,
Hmm.
I won't say, oh, well, here's the remedy for reflux. There you go. Give it to you. Off you go. See you later. Um, I will work out, well, why? I have
Hmm.
IBS. Oh, okay. These are the herbs for IBS. Give you
Yeah.
that. See you later. Bye. Yeah, I always take a really good case history, and then that's where the plants
Hmm.
um suit the
Yep.
human
Yep.
person sitting in front of you.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, what got me into naturopathy? Naturopathy started a long time ago. Maybe my healing part of me started from, I don't even remember, from a child. Um, with my, say if somebody had a headache, I'd always make up a concoction, or someone would say, oh, their tummy's sore. So I'd make up some crazy bit of mud, a bit of dirt, a bit of stones, a bit of plants and leaves and some sprinkled flowers, and then give it to my mum or give it to my grandma and say, here, have this. And they would laugh and pretend they were drinking it. And at the time, I really thought they were. How funny is that? Um, and yeah, so I guess that's how that started. It really brought me joy to know that um, I had I somehow played a part in somebody feeling better than what they were feeling before.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but then I guess the way it definitely happened. So I danced in and out of doing naturopathy. Then I was like, oh, should I do Chinese medicine? Should I do nutrition? Should I this? Should I that? And I just could never make a proper decision. And then I had my daughter, and then after having my daughter, it was like, well, there's no time for dancing around. You're a single mum now, so quick, get into it. Get a job. You got to do something. And I knew I love kids, so I got
Hmm.
into teaching. But then as she grew older, I kept,
Yeah.
Tina, come on, remember us. We want you to
Yeah.
study us. And I always did. I always did look into if there was somebody in the family that wasn't feeling well. I was always finding natural ways. Um, if I was feeling pain somewhere, I'd always find an acupressure point
Mm.
and think, okay, this is the acupressure point for healing this. And I always would ask why. So why would, if I used to have very bad periods, why would I
Mm.
have bad periods, but my friends didn't? What was going on there? What and I'd always look in, or my dad would have sore backs. Like I'm actually speaking too much about my family, but someone might have a sore back. And I'd think, all right, well, why is this person having a sore back? What does it mean? And
Mm.
I investigated the mind body connection. I investigated acupressure points. I went into kinesiology and I did touch for health. I did
Mm.
so many different things to help me understand the workings of the body. And then, all while I was still teaching. And
Mm.
then, there were two things that I would say, yes, this is it. One, my grandfather passed away. And as I sat there with him, I had this overwhelming, like after he passed,
Yeah.
I had this overwhelming feeling of you're not you're not doing you're not on the right track. You need to change. You need to change
Mm.
whatever you're doing, you're not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
And it was almost like he didn't say it, but he said, when you take your last breath, you want to be able to say, yep, I did what I was meant to do on this planet,
Yeah.
rather than, oh no, I was meant to, and that's the end. And so
Yeah.
um,
You're following your soul
yes,
path, your soul
yes,
purpose. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that for him, that's definitely what wanted. He wanted me to definitely I was always such a distracted person. So I think he always wanted me to say, listen to my heart. And I
Mm.
think that because I kept getting distracted by so many things and
Yeah.
people pleasing, and
Mm.
then, having kids, like that's going to
Mm.
distract you anyway.
Right.
So that was my,
Mm.
I need to really think seriously. Then, so I started so that's when I really got right into the mind body connection in yoga. And
Mm.
then my husband got cancer, and as we were sitting, and um he went through the hospitals, so he got treatment, he had
Mm.
chemo and everything. But while I was sitting by his side, I always was looking at alternatives for him, and
Mm.
not alternatives, it was an alternative, but it was in addition, I guess. Like
Yeah.
we weren't gonna, no
Mm.
treatment, just bone broth it or
Yeah.
just juice it.
Mm.
It was together with.
Mm.
So sometimes he was so tired he couldn't even eat, and I'd get him like a watermelon juice, and he'd feel so much better. And it was all of the things inside that watermelon juice that were helping. Like I'm pretty sure it didn't. Yeah, as the doctor said, it's not going to cure cancer, and I didn't think it would. But I remember some of them, they're so matter of fact. Like
Yeah.
he was so weak one day, and I was going downstairs to get me something, and I ended up getting him the watermelon juice. And after he drank it, he was smiling again, and he was like talking again. And one of the doctors came in and said, "Oh, look, he's a little bit more awake and alert now." And I said, "Oh yeah, I got him some watermelon juice." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, that's not going to cure his cancer." And I was like, "Yeah, I know it's not going to cure his cancer, but I'm just letting you know he had something to eat and maybe to drink." And
Yeah.
anyway, so that sort of propelled okay, I'm going to do naturopathy. And then I
Mm.
did. I
Wow.
did naturopathy and worked at the same time, because I still had the
Mm.
home loan, and I still had kids to raise, so I still did all of that and
Mm.
study.
I just had a little bit of like oof moment, like this is like a roller coaster ride for you, and you finally made it here. So congratulations. You got me
Yeah.
thinking as you talked about your husband's cancer, and you mentioned that he was getting treatment, and he also had on parallel naturopathy kind of treatments as well, right, on the side. So how do these kind of two walk hand in hand? Are there any side effects that one should be worried about? So they could be, taking modern medicine or modern treatments out there, but can they also come to naturopathy and seek help? Can they do this together?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. You'd want to see a naturopath that is experienced with knowing the different cancers and also knowing their craft so that they know the side effects, because often um, oncologists aren't. And so
Mm.
it requires the naturopath to be. Oncologists will say, yes, this works, this doesn't work, don't do this, don't do that. But there's enough research out there when you find a good naturopath that will say, that will show to be cautious
Yeah.
in some places and
Mm.
not in others. Different cancers require different treatments when it
Mm.
comes to herbs as well.
Yeah.
And then going back to what I was saying with the herbs for the person. So on an energetic level, a person has cancer for a reason. And I don't mean like, I know there's that whole everything happens for a reason, but there's the constitution, the person as a whole. That's what, somewhere their vitality has been depleted. How can we, so yeah, how can we somehow bolster
Mm.
the vitality of that person,
Mm.
um, alongside of the cancer treatment, whatever's happening with the cancer too. So it's yes, there might be some herbs that help with the different types of cancer, but then there's those herbs that also help with
Yeah.
um, the person's adrenal support and
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
with any other side effects from cancer, the cancer treatment. There's
Mm.
the lack of sleep and the sleep disturbances,
Yeah.
the sometimes there are certain cancers that can burn all the way through your esophagus so you don't feel like eating. So what can you do there? There are some types of cancers that affect how much oxygen you get in. So then I guess that's kind of going into the naturopathic thing that I do. Like I'll do some breathing, we'll do some pranayama, so
Mm.
breathing things to help. But yeah, so there's definitely a place
Mm.
where natural medicine and I
Modern
guess you
medicine
could
can go together. Yeah.
I'd like to see a world where they both work together.
Yeah.
I feel like even though there are a lot of naturopaths that don't necessarily agree with the way that modern medicine works, I think that there are more doctors that don't like naturopaths than naturopaths not liking doctors. We're more open to say, let's work together. We
Mm.
understand where you are in this world. We understand that if somebody has um uh if somebody has a condition, say, let me think of like an appendicitis,
Mm.
we understand that. Do not come to us with an appendicitis, because if you need your appendix out, we don't have the tools in
Mm.
our clinic
Yeah.
to help with that. Um, so we understand in an emergency, that's where you go, because
Yeah.
modern medicine does emergency extremely well.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about how your immune system is going to work
Mm.
efficiently, then that's where you come to see a naturopath. That's where we shine. Like when GPs see your blood test and they're like, oh, yeah, your white blood cells are a bit low, but look, everything else is perfectly fine. See you later.
Mm.
That's when they should say, well, it's a little bit low. Maybe go see a naturopath. They'll help you bolster um your white blood cells and
Mm.
hopefully prevent you having to come to me.
Yeah.
Because GPs, they're looking for, do I need to perform an operation or do I need to give you medication? One or
Mm.
the other. They're not
Yeah.
thinking, oh, how can we somehow prevent this?
Yeah. Totally. You either they want to just cut you open or pop pills, but nobody's treating the root cause of the condition you have. We just want to suppress the symptoms. And as you
Yeah.
mentioned, we require modern medicine, but at the same time, you don't want to go ahead and, just go under knife or just take medicine to suppress your symptoms, but find out what's happening on the root cause so you can heal from the root. And I think the
Yes.
best way to do it is naturally. And you go to a naturopath, they give you, I've been to a naturopath in the past, and
Yeah.
I did have a very pleasant experience myself. And I think that I could definitely say there were no side effects for anything, and they can go in hand. I've seen a lot of my friends who kind of take more help from modern medicine, but they also go see a naturopath. So that's wonderful. And I think with cancers, this is the first time I'm hearing, and I was kind of blown away when you just simply talked about the watermelon juice, as simple as a watermelon juice, how it kind of affected the moods, of your husband. And I think that says a lot. It actually
Yeah.
says. So wow, I'm kind of blown away. That's amazing. Right. Well, in terms of the conditions you get, Tina, so
Mm.
what kind of conditions do usually come up with from your clients, right, who come and see you? What is the thing that comes up often again and again? And why, if and why? And maybe talk to us about some experiences you've had with these clients and how and what you recommended that helped them.
Yeah. All right. So I mostly see the cases where there's a lot going on.
Mm,
Um, and it's predominantly with autoimmune disease.
mm,
Um, so in particular, I see lots of people that have fibromyalgia,
mm,
um, or have the diagnosis of fibromyalgia, but there's always something else going on. So medical, yeah, so there's fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, um, ulcerative colitis. That's actually a big one, ulcerative colitis that I see. Um, yeah, anything autoimmune.
yeah.
There are so many autoimmune conditions. So just, I guess, sideline an autoimmune disease is where we've got white blood cells in our body that are moving around and
Mm,
looking for things that are not. So say Tina. I've got white blood cells inside my body and they're looking around saying, yep, that's a Tina cell, that's a Tina cell, that's a Tina cell, that's a Tina cell. And then they might see a bacteria, or they might see a virus and
mm,
that see that virus cell and say, well, that's not a Tina cell. Let's grab that, engulf it, and destroy it. And that's what they do. And when they do that well and they identify the non-Tina cell and they then I crisis averted, I don't have a cold or I don't
mm,
get that bacterial infection.
mm,
Perfect. And everything's working lovely.
mm.
Um, and that's happening like as we speak, as we're
Yeah.
sitting down right now, our cells are doing that
Mm,
all the time. Now, with an autoimmune disease, what's happening is those cells are looking at a particular tissue or an organ and say, oh, this is not Tina cell. So say, for example,
mm.
with ulcerative colitis,
Yeah.
my white blood cells will say, oh, this tissue, this lining of the gut isn't Tina cell. We must grab it, engulf it, and remove it.
Mm,
And that's not what you want when it's an important organ,
yeah.
like your digestive system or your thyroid. Like underactive thyroid's another, Hashimoto's,
Mm,
Graves' disease. The list goes on. It's anything autoimmune usually comes to me. It's a
yeah.
yeah. So if it's your thyroid, Hashimoto's is it's your immune system's seeing your
Mm,
thyroid tissue as foreign. It's
yeah.
not, but it is to your immune system. So treatment is, how do you bolster the immune system? See, this is where I believe, even though people can go to the supermarket and get a vitamin C, or they can go and get bilberry, or they can get, oh, I heard that hawthorn is great for heart issues, so I'm going to go and get hawthorn from the chemist.
Mm,
Um, Even though you can get all of these herbs, wonderful, fantastic that they are available. However, um, there are certain herbs that you shouldn't have if you have an autoimmune disease, because
mm,
there are certain herbs that are going to make your immune system overactive, like active so that you can fight. So someone who gets colds all the time
Mm.
might listen to a podcast and the podcast says, oh, go and get some angiographis. Angiographis is going to be great for your colds. And you're like, yes, I'm going to go and get some angiographis. And so you go to the chemist, you get some angiographis, you pump yourself with all these angiographis, but then you get a flare up in your thyroid, or you get a flare up in your ulcerative colitis and you got severe gut issues. And then you start to say, oh, well, it
Mm.
must have been the natural therapy. Our natural therapies are terrible. Yep, never going to do that again. But it's like,
Ah.
well, no, it's because angiographis works on the immune system and makes it overactive. So if you all got immune cells that are detecting that your thyroid is foreign
Mm.
or your gut lining is foreign, it's going to work good too, which means that you're obviously going to be experiencing more pain or more fatigue or
Mm.
based on, yeah. So what I usually do is I use if they are someone who experiences lots of colds and flus, I'll use a herb that works to tonify the immune system, not make it more active. I
Right.
will do a bit of a where is there where is there a lacking and how do we bolster that so that the body, so the human can feel, so this person in front of me can feel more vital.
Mm.
um
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Right. Interesting. So basically, as you mentioned, as we started the podcast, you said you usually treat people with herbs and understanding what suits their body. So just because they have the condition, you just go and prescribe this herb and go like, go have this and it'll be fine. So I think that's important as a naturopath. Like herbs are great, but you need to have the understanding of how it'll work and react with your body. So it's important that you take these herbs under guidance, under guided or an expert naturopath. So that totally makes sense. I mean, it's incredible what these herbs can do. And it's even incredible to have that kind of knowledge and get the help, like, like yourself, like an expert like yourself, to understand how it will, like, react with our body. I think that's amazing. And thank you for explaining that so beautifully. It was great. Thank you so much. And I think for me, I'm so curious and I would love, just love the way you explained it there. And and Tina, my other question is, when you mentioned about these autoimmune diseases and you mentioned that you take on more chronic illnesses and more chronic conditions. So do you find that there's one or the other condition that's kind of more prevalent in women than in men? Or is it kind of not really?
um ulcerative colitis is most would be my 50-50.
Mhm.
um yeah. um Fibromyalgia, I don't think I've met a male that's had fibromyalgia or been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. um I think it mostly autoimmune. I would say it's mostly women. So there's an underlying thing with the seeing a naturopath is that therapeutic relationship, that there's a lot of healing that can come just from um, speaking with another woman and letting her hear you and listen. And that therapeutic relationship I think that's a very important thing. I get a lot of people coming in, I just want to see if you suit me. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, please do. And if we're not a match, please let's not do this, because you're not gonna trust me, and trust is so important in all of it. So yeah, so what was your question? Is it mostly males or females? It's mostly females. I
Hmm.
do see males with autoimmune conditions. My males, most of the males I see will be the ones with cancer.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And if we got to talking last time, and I was quite intrigued on how also, from a young age, you've been like, okay, helping out your family and, making these concoctions and bringing them, bringing to them, and having all this vast knowledge of herbs as you do. So I
Mm.
have been, personally, I keep asking this question to everyone I know, like, how do you kind of go by without coffee? How do you do it? Because I cannot.
Oh,
Every morning I
yeah.
wake up, I need a coffee. So, and when I do meet my friends and they're like, I just had a green matcha latte this morning and decaf. And I'm like, how do you do it? Like, how? And maybe you can give us some tips on maybe how we can, find another replacement for coffee. And I think
Yes.
this might help somebody or just help me.
You know what? If I can, yes, if I can somehow convert you a little bit. Look, I love coffee and I do drink coffee. I used to drink coffee all the time, like every day was my routine, wake up, have a coffee. Currently, I am having cacao and mushroom in my mug. My the tea, it's not tea, but it's my concoction. I How did I start? I was on a holiday, and where we went, we weren't close to a place where we could get coffees, but we had a a I guess it was like a health food store that was also doing, and they just closed down, but that didn't have coffee available, but was doing turmeric mushroom concoctions or well, warm drinks or matcha. Ooh, okay. Um, and I started to drink that, and now look, did I have headaches? Not when I was on a holiday. It was
Mm,
very different. But when I came home and I tried to do it, oh, the headaches I got were just um yeah, to go cold turkey wasn't great.
mm,
So I think I did it for a week, and so just having mushrooms, just cold turkey, no more coffee. That's it. That's what I'm doing. And yeah, headaches were awful. I was grumpy. Um, can you imagine that? Me just like snapping at people. um, and and then um I had a coffee and I was ecstatic. I was so happy. I was so bubbly. I was so bouncy. I was so everything. And I remember thinking, yeah, I love coffee. Coffee. I'm not going to stop coffee again. Um, However, obviously, too much is not good. So what
mm,
I ended up doing was doing it slowly this time. So instead of going cold turkey, I went, okay, so one day I'll have a coffee, and
mm.
then one day I'll have my mushroom and cacao. And then the next day I had a coffee, and then the next day I had like a matcha.
Yeah.
Didn't take to matcha because matcha was a bit bitter for me,
Mm,
even though, and I'm not a big milk drinker or almond milk drinker or anything like that. Um, so yeah, the only time I like my almond milk is with my chai. So I make my own chai.
okay.
Um, and so I went chai, coffee, mushrooms, coffee, chai, coffee, mushrooms, like just alternating days. And then one day was, okay, I did two in a row and then
Mm,
no coffee, and then three in a row and then and then a coffee. Then I slowly just, I guess, weaned myself. And now maybe I'll have a coffee once a week.
mm,
And
yeah.
I don't really miss it. But I think that it's it is addictive, but
Mm,
not in the same way as a drug is addictive. But your body, anything that you have every single day, your body does adapt
yeah.
to it being in your body.
Mm,
Um, so to take it away, there is the body's got to regulate and say, well, hang on, what have you done? You've just taken away what I'm always using for my energy.
yeah.
Now what am I?
Mm,
So I guess I slowly
mm,
taught my body that there are other ways that you can get your energy that wasn't from
yeah.
overloading your
Mm.
adrenals,
Yeah, that's
caffeine.
interesting. So I guess baby steps and
Yeah,
replacing it with a drink that you might enjoy or you like.
Yes,
Any
definitely let you enjoy it.
recommendations?
Yeah, chai all the way, chai all the way.
And what
And
do you
make
mean
your
by you make your own chai? Do you grow the leaves?
no, I actually put, oh, actually I even had tulsi. No, I get cinnamon.
Hmm.
So I get the the quills, cinnamon quills. I get little nutmeg buds. So I go to my organic shop and I get all of the spices that you put inside that you
Yeah.
make a chai with. But
Mm.
I put it in a muslin. That's what I was doing at the time. Now I don't so much do
Right.
that. But I put it in a muslin pouch, and
Mm.
then I bought water, and so it was like a tea, and I just let it be
Right.
like that. Now I actually just I'm quite lazy. So now I'll just put the milk in and I'll put all the herbs in because I've got it in a big jar, and I'll just
Yeah.
put the herbs in and then I'll just let it boil, and then
Yeah.
once it's done I just tip it into a strainer.
Mm.
And at the time it was like it was a ritual. It was like, okay, now I'm going to put it all into my little muslin bag and tie it and then put it in. Like it was just, I needed something that changed the ritual from make it having going to get my coffee every morning
Mm.
to it was the ritual I loved as well. I
Yeah.
loved going to see my barista and we chatted away and she knew information about me that some of my family didn't know because she was just there every day all the
Yeah.
time. We were chatting. Um,
Yeah.
she knew me if I was having a busy day and I was feeling a
Mm.
bit blah, or so the ritual had to change too.
Mm.
And yeah, little, small. I don't think it
Yeah.
would have been easy. It wasn't easy to just go
Mm.
cold turkey.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
But
understand that. I tried giving up on coffee and I just couldn't, and I went back to it. I've tried it a couple of times and it hasn't worked for me, but I've had my family does drink a lot of tea. We make masala chai at home where we put
oh,
in grated ginger and then we have cardamom seeds.
yes.
So it's kind of a lovely blend that I enjoy once a while, but I still like coffee. Coffee is big. Can't go without coffee. But I don't know why that is. But I will take your advice on board and I'll try it out.
Yeah.
I will try.
Hey, but you also, how often do you have a coffee? Is it once a day or is it every
Twice,
once a week?
twice a day, twice a day.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we could try once a day. So do your once a day and the other one, the other day, the other time, have another warm drink, something
Yeah.
you like. And
Baby
if
steps.
matcha doesn't, yeah, if matcha doesn't do it for you, and the chai that you make is like, yeah, fine, just keep trialing
Yeah.
ones that you can say, oh, Tulsi tea is really nice.
Mm. Yeah.
I like a
Yeah.
Tulsi
We
tea.
we put a blend of that too sometimes. We grow tulsi at home, so we just pluck the leaves and just put it in our chai and as it's kind of boiling. So we do that as well. But as I said, for me, it's more coffee. Coffee is hits differently.
It does hit differently. All right. So if we're going to talk adrenal, chaga is probably your best for your chaga mushrooms for your
Mm.
adrenals. But do you have like a garden at home where you just got like tulsi leaves there and that's lovely.
Yes. I guess every Indian household does usually. And me being an Indian, we obviously have tulsi, we have other herbs, and we're kind of big on it and use it every day as a part of our cooking, you know.
Yep.
But I think as we're talking about herbs, so I thought I'll mention that, and I think it's important that you use like turmeric, you use your other herbs in your food,
Yeah.
because I know turmeric is anti-inflammatory and it helps with inflammation in your body. So I guess I learned that from my naturopath when I was seeing, and I think that's great. And so I thought I'll just put it out there.
Also
Hmm.
with your turmeric, you want to put a pinch of salt, which you probably would with when you're cooking anyway. You're going to be putting not a pinch of salt, pinch of pepper.
Ginger pepper. Yeah.
Yeah, so the pepper helps with the absorption of your turmeric.
Hmm. See, I didn't know that. You always learn something new every day.
This all this stuff in my brain, it's like, come on, people, just ask me questions. I'll vomit out all this information for you.
Well, awesome, awesome. Cheers to that, Tina.
Yes.
Brilliant,
Woohoo.
brilliant. Awesome. I love your cup, by the way. It's very nice. It kind of matches
Thank
with your
you.
top as well, so I love it.
Oh, because green's my favorite color. Yes, I love
Oh,
green. Thank you.
very
Matchy,
healing.
matchy, matchy, matchy. Oh. And
Great.
then, oh, look, matchy.
Oh, wow. What crystal is that? I see that you are into crystal and you've got a big one just behind you. I was very curious from the beginning of the podcast to ask you what it is.
Uh-huh. All right. So it is a apophyllite. I don't know. I can't even pronounce it. It's APO. I'm terrible with the spelling, with pronunciation. The light. For light. Opophyllite.
There you go.
Opophyllite.
All right. Awesome. I love it.
Yes,
All right.
it's
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
super special. It's my spiritual stone. It's
Mm.
something that I keep with me all the time. It's in my bedroom. It's supposed to like awaken and help you connect to your spiritual self.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. I love that.
And they're
I will look
clear.
up. I will look up. I love crystals too. And we can talk about crystals all day, I'm pretty sure. And I know that we were doing it before we started the
Before
recording of our podcast. So, but another question I really want to ask you about naturopathy is I know that you also engage in other healing modalities, like you've got yoga, you've got Reiki. So, do you recommend your clients to, get any one of these, or kind of add Reiki or add yoga into their kind of exercise as they're taking, herbs or treatment of the herbs? So, what does that look like in a combination from a holistic
Yeah.
perspective? Like, yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, being the holistic remedy, I guess that's where the name holistic remedy came up because of that reason, because I was so confused with how do I say what I do, like how I can help,
Mm,
how I can, yeah. So holistic is why I came out, and then I came up with that like however many years, 10 years ago, whatever it was. And then now it's like everything's holistic. I'm like, yeah, wow, all right. Which is fantastic. Like it really is. So what do I do? So often, like there is a mind-body connection,
mm,
100%. Anybody who denies it, there's a bunch of books that they can read on it. But essentially, yoga is all about, people go to yoga to begin with the postures, and then they leave com completely understanding more about themselves and that union within. Yoga is for me the union
mm,
of that mind, of your mind, of your body, of your soul, like all coming together and aligning.
mm,
Um, it starts with the postures because you're getting out of your head, out of the mind chatter, out of the monkey mind, as
mm.
you like Patanjali. I can't even. You know what? I'm not going to speak about yoga because you're the you're the one who will pronounce it probably better than me. But
Patanjali.
Patanjali, there we go. Patanjali spoke about the monkey mind, and it's the um like chitta, so it
Mm,
calms the mind, and so you're calming the mind so that it's not all over the place and you're in your body.
yeah.
And then once you realize that this brain that's going has a body,
Mm,
then it's that shushing of what's
mm,
happening up here because you're in your body. And then once you're in your body, there's something amazing that happens. It's like it elevates you and you realize, wait a minute, I'm not my brain, I'm not my body, I am something completely different. So, well, not completely different. I don't know. There it is. I don't have a word
helping you
for it.
just connect, I think, to your higher self, connect
Yeah.
to your inner voice, your soul, your intuition more, I guess. And as you said, getting out of that monkey mind where it's telling you so many things at once and just calming it, right, is um I think is the key, right, for yoga. I mean, I'm no expert, but I have tried yoga in the past and just couldn't continue it, of course. And but I would love to get back into it. But I'm just can't find the motivation. Maybe this podcast is gives me that motivation to do it. But
That's right. And then there's always that, that push pull, like, why am I avoiding it? What am I not willing
Mm.
to open up and be ready to look at and um see, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Mm.
yeah, so how your question was, how do I incorporate it? So say I have somebody that that is sitting in front of me and they do have a very anxious mind, and I very rarely, unless they say it, I won't say, you have an anxious mind. You need to do this
Mm.
because of this,
Yeah.
because I feel um, no one wants to be told what to do. But I will somehow say something like, oh, do you have trouble sleeping? All right. So
Mm.
some of these movements might help you just before going to bed. So let this be so going to sleep, perhaps you could try, and I'll say child's pose and um, maybe a child's pose, maybe a happy baby, and then a breathing exercise. And
Mm.
then that being, and I speak about it as, and I wrap it up as a ritual. This is
Mm.
your ritual before you go to sleep. And without knowing, they are getting out of their mind and getting into their body. And the
Mm.
breathing
Yeah.
is helping, oxygenate there. There's a science aspect of it, but then there's that spiritual aspect of it.
Mm.
And they seem to sleep better. And
Mm.
so it works in a way that isn't prescriptive, but then it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Reiki.
Mm.
So Reiki is, I like Reiki happens usually when they ask. I don't come in and say, you need a Reiki healing. I never,
Yeah.
never, unless people come to me and they say, I would like a Reiki healing.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes I get a healing without even, some people ring me up the next day and they say, do you know, I feel amazing after seeing you. And I'm like, oh, that's lovely. Thank you. I feel like, did you give me a healing without me knowing? And I'm like, I didn't. But it sometimes happens because when you are
Mm.
when you work with energy,
Mm.
um, you, I tend to do like without even knowing it too. It's that
Mm.
um, there's a healing that occurs.
Yeah.
It's
I
that.
yeah. I totally I get that, and I think you need to experience that. And I think no words can describe what you just mentioned. I guess you need to be there and experience it. And I guess it's amazing that, of course, you've got, because it's your mind, body, and your soul, you need the holistic aspect of healing. It's not just the herbs. You need to incorporate what you need for your body, how it needs to move, and even on an energetic level, I guess, right? So you need that to remove those blockages out of your, I don't know, like astral bodies, your chakras. You need that. So I guess from a holistic point, definitely is what I'm hearing. So I think that's amazing. And in terms of side effects, Tina, I know that with herbs, there are no side effects as such unless you are taking the right herb that's compatible with your body. But have you heard? Because a lot of people that I know of who are maybe not too keen on getting or going and seeing a naturopath, they often complain about, oh, I'm not sure it'll work. It's going to have side effects. But some people believe it won't have side effects, but they also know it's not going to work for them. But some people are like, oh, what if it has side effects? So, have you ever come across any side effects with naturopathy? Um, and what were those? If you can give us a little insight on that.
Yeah. Um, Myself personally, I can't say that I have had a client that's had side effects from what I've given them. But when we were in college or when I was at uni, we learnt about the side effects of the herbs. So herbs work. So if they work, then and they're incorrectly, I guess, prescribed, or um, there's something that the naturopath doesn't know about, and
Mhm.
then they prescribe that herb, then it's going to have an effect. So, for example, if there's a herb called bladderwhack, I mean, it's a terrible herb. It tastes disgusting. But um, if you have, or even actually, we could even say lemon balm. Let's use lemon balm, for example, because lemon balms are it's very much something that people will have.
Mhm.
Um, lemon
What
balm
is
is
it?
Melissa. Melissa is the herb.
Okay.
Lemon balm. So Melissa is the name. Melissa is the Latin binomial.
Mhm.
But lemon balm is how we would know it. So it is a herb that is used to calm the nervous system. All
Mm.
right. So we use it to calm the nervous system. If you have an underactive thyroid, it is going to make your underactive thyroid worse. So if you have lemon balm
Mm.
and you're an anxious person and you take some lemon balm or a naturopath's given you lemon, this is very unlikely. A naturopath won't give, I'm assuming, I wouldn't, but a naturopath wouldn't give um, lemon balm if they knew that a person had an underactive thyroid.
Right.
But what it may do is make the underactive thyroid more underactive because of the way that it works in the human body. And it can make you more fatigued and actually quite tired and sluggish and extremely sleepy and cold. And
Mm.
so herbs have an energetic component to them as well. So some are heating and some are cooling, some are sour,
Mm.
some are sweet, some are so you as a naturopath,
Mm.
I was taught to, and I'm not saying I don't know about all of them, but I know I balance out a mixture that if I sense that the person is has quite a cold constitution, I'm not going to give cold herbs, cooling herbs. I'm going to give warming herbs. So yes, to answer your question, yes, there are side effects. There are side effects to herbs, um, but not to the same extent as what a pharmaceutical side effect might.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Pharmaceutical could potentially give you, you know, well, look,
Mm.
a herb can give you high blood pressure. So say licorice,
Mm.
licorice root. I mean, you're going to get me nerding out here, but licorice root actually elevates your blood pressure. So if somebody has licorice root because they've been told that licorice root is going to help their urinary tract, or
Mm.
it's going to help them with their cough, but then suddenly, so they're having licorice root tea, but suddenly they start to feel heart palpitations. They're like, why am I having heart palpitations? I'm just having this licorice root tea because I've got a really sore, dry
Mm.
throat. It's because licorice root elevates your heart rate.
Yeah.
Um, and if you've got high blood pressure, that's a
Mm.
pretty bad thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
definitely. Oh my
definitely don't want
God. Yeah.
it.
Where has this information been all my life? I guess just because it's
I mean,
natural, just because it's natural, you don't put it in your body. I guess you need to understand the constitution of what you're taking and how it's going to react in your, with your body. And what about these, herbal teas? Chamomile, for example, is known to kind of harm you. So,
yeah,
are there
that's
any like side effects? Like, should some people be taking it? Some people shouldn't be taking it. What is your take on that?
all right. So chamomile is pretty safe unless you have an allergy to grass,
Hmm.
because chamomile is a type of grass. So
Yeah.
if you have an allergy to like grass and weeds and things, not
Mm.
everybody does. You're going to drink it and go like you're going to feel itchy
Mm.
because your body immune system is triggered. What's
Mm.
going on here? We don't like this.
Yeah.
And so it will create an inflammatory response to the chamomile. But
Wow.
if you don't have a
Mm.
grass allergy, then you
Mm.
should be fine.
Okay,
But yeah,
that's
so this is the art of naturopathy that um we learn. Well, yeah,
mm,
I learned, but then I studied as well. Like I don't just go, oh yeah, the lecturer said, because I'm a nerd about it and I love it. The lecturer said there's this and this, and I was actually blessed. I had a beautiful lecturer who spoke like this. Not everybody did.
mm,
Spoke about the herbs in this particular way, but we weren't at uni for 4 years doing health
mm,
science in naturopathy because we were playing with crystals and, you know, doing moon worshipping and whatever it is that, like, there are naturopaths that do that. I definitely, I love my crystals. I do as well. However, there's a very there's a science base to the herbs as well, that and a holistic sense to the word. So we weren't just doing nothing in our, like, I think that there's going to be a big, that we see it in the supermarkets, we see it in the chemists. We're seeing lots of natural things coming through. And I think it's going to be really important for people to know,
Mm.
don't just rely on the pharmacist, because the pharmacist has been given a 6-week course or a 12-week course to be able to give out these herbs. But they don't have the depth of the knowledge that we do. We studied it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I don't pretend to know any of the information he knows. I 100%, I'm not pretending that I know what the site, like, what's gonna, how, what, which medicines I can take with which. I
Mm.
don't know. He's a
Yeah.
pharmacist. This is my lane,
Yeah.
and that's his lane. And I'll never speak of, when someone's sitting in
Yeah.
front of me and they say, I'm on thyroxine, I'm on um Lipitrol for my elevated cholesterol, I'm on this and I'm on that. I don't
Mm.
say, cool, let's get you off that. I'll tell you how. I'm like, all right, well, that is that. I'm going to be working here in this
Mm.
area, my lane. You decide what you want to do with that. But this
Yeah.
is, um, so yeah, so I'm thinking that, as we move on in the world,
Yeah.
a lot of the naturopathic ways, like, that's where a naturopath can't be obsolete, because
Mm.
we are like you can type in Google which herb's going to help me with my I have a sore heart, or no, wait, let me think. Well, heart's a big one. See, heart's a big one because there's an energetic, with
Mm.
all organs energetic, but say you tightness in the upper right quadrant of my digestive system.
Mhm.
What is that? And then it says, oh, here's a herb for it. Cool, I'll take it. You don't know what's going on. Why is this why are
Mm.
you taking this herb?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the potential side effects. So it's always good to go to a naturopath
Yeah.
so that naturopath can guide you through it.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
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 I guess in modern medicine too, you can Google stuff and it can tell you what chemical to take or what medicine to take or combination of medicine to take, but you will not straight away go and get it. And you need to be prescribed by a doctor, and there's a standard for it. And I believe that there should be a same standard applied to natural remedies as well, because talking to you is one thing I've understood is that herbs are great, they're safe, but they need to work with your body, they need to be compatible with your body, so you need guidance, expert guidance, before you take it. So yeah, definitely. And Tina, if you have to tell our listeners, or women or men, does not matter, that one herb they should include in their diet on a daily basis, or they should just for a healthy well-being, their healthy lifestyle, what would that be?
Oh yeah. Look, we spoke about turmeric. Turmeric is lovely. I love all herbs, so it's going to be very difficult for me. Um, Turmeric's amazing. There's less side effects with turmeric, really. Maybe there's that blood thinning aspect of
Mm.
turmeric, but that would be, you'd have to have a ton of it for it to be a
Yeah.
real issue.
Mm.
I'm Italian. Rosemary is in absolutely everything that we have. Like,
Yeah.
and I married a Greek, so equally so. So, when the whole hair thing came out with put rosemary oil in your hair, we were like, we've already been, rosemary oils, rosemary, everything's technically in everything that we do. So rosemary is
Mm.
amazing. So if you're going to use a spice in your foods, rosemary is delicious. Um, Turmeric, I wouldn't put them together though. I don't know how good they are together. No. Um, the What else? What else? I mean, I'm just thinking of all the herbs I've got in my garden. So we've got basil. Um, I've
Mm.
got thyme.
Yeah.
Uh, But yeah, turmeric would be one of the things I would say 100% definitely. If you can somehow put turmeric into your food, do it,
Mm.
or rosemary.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Amazing. I love those both. And we haven't, in coming from an Indian background, we don't use rosemary a lot, but turmeric, yes. But it was an eye opener for me when you said you need to have it with pepper, otherwise it does not absorb in your body. That was an eye opener for me. But rosemary, lately I have started to incorporate that in my diet, and I think it's amazing. I love it. I love it when I can just sprinkle it on my salmon and have it. Wow, amazing.
The other thing, sorry to just, I want to add one more thing,
Yeah.
that we are genetically, based on where we come from,
Mhm.
our genes, I feel like our genes eat from where you come from. So I'm from Italy. Eating Italian food has been something that's been in my genes all the way through. So it suits me, like suits my body, my constitution, like everything about. It's more now when I look at my kids and they are a mix of Italian and Greek. Lucky we're both from the Mediterranean, so that kind of that helps. But healing, I think, is very important if we come back to our roots.
Mhm.
There's some kind of comfort that in our DNA of the foods that we've eaten. I think about you were in your mum's womb. If mum's Indian, then she was in her mum's womb, and all of that genetic makeup is coming through. I mean, they talk about, yeah, look, we could keep talking, but I think that the food I'll keep it on on the same thing, but food. So yeah, if you're Italian or from the Mediterranean, rosemary is amazing. It's something that's
Mhm.
going to be healing for
Yeah,
you. Turmeric's going to be healing. So
yeah,
traditions, go back to traditions as well. Yeah.
interesting. Wow, this is something that I've not thought about. It's a good point. And I guess, Tina, with that, we have to wrap up podcast
I know.
episode for today. And I'm kind of thrilled because this is the first podcast episode that I have recorded that's longer than 30 minutes.
Oh wow, that's
And
because it's
it's
me. I could talk forever.
amazing. And thank you so much for sharing all the information. And I'm really grateful for your time. So again, thank you so much for coming on Sipping on Stories podcast. If there are any final words you want to let out to our listeners, go for it.
Um, First of all, I want to thank you. This is amazing. What you do is absolutely fantastic. The way that people can sit down and listen to um, the people that you've brought together, like you've told me about what your vision is. And I think that that's so important for the women of the world to hear. And you have a beautiful way about you. You're coming like I'm really energetic. So when I hear you ask the questions like, hey, Tina, bring it down. You're such a nice, warm, yeah. So everything about you is just, it's lovely. I feel just sitting here that I can be calm too, being around you. So thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
then lastly, everybody, listen to your body, listen to the wisdom in your body, and let that lead your way to good health. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. With that, we'll do a little cheers with our cups and we'll wrap up for today. Thanks, Tina.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.